Welcome to Angry Me Production.
And welcome to Angry Me Production yet again. What we're going to do, our topic for this week, someone actually suggested this in the comics last Sunday, is we'll talk about feminism and see how it goes nowadays, since most of the stuff nowadays literally has been fixed, especially after the whole, what was his name? I had it in my head. Weinstein epidemic, where he was basically casting couch most people and setting up contracts for those contracts were ridiculous when they signed it. If he made a lewd comment to you, you're guaranteed like $25,000 extra or something. There's one contract that was uppers of $1 million. But after that, it bred into the Me Too movement, along with everybody and their lifestyle was angry about everything else now. It opened up the floodgates of cancel culture, which we actually talked about last week. So what's your thinking on women getting the right to vote?
They should have the right to vote. Depending on what we're voting on.
I don't know. Maybe not. Just kidding, folks. We know they got the right to vote. When did they get the right to vote? I forgot.
Wasn't it sometime in the 60s? Was it the
No.
60s?
No.
Maybe it was the 50s.
No.
It's not like my brain processes any of that. I don't even try to keep track of
No, it was 1919.
Nice.
No. What you're thinking of is actually the women's movement in 1970s time frame, where they wanted better pay and equal rights, which they should have gotten anyways for the longest time. But
I was thinking of, that whole movement where women were screaming, that whole burning bras. And
yeah, that was the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make a bit of sense to me. I mean, realistically, from a standpoint, you're taking off your undergarments and you're waving them in front of us, setting them on fire. From my point of view, the only thing that tells me is wow, she's wearing less clothes.
We're not the harder to figure out. You do something like that, we'll give you anything you want. Show up nude. You got us in a heartbeat. Do anything.
But here's my biggest take on the whole thing. Like the definition for feminism, it says the advocacy of women's rights based on equality of sexes. Which, if that is the pure definition we're going to go by here, which we're going to delve a little deeper into it than that, but that is perfectly okay with me. I have no issues with the advocacy for women's rights, because women should have all the same rights that men do, and vice versa.
Yeah, but here's the thing nowadays. What's countering that is the transgender movement, where transgender women are going into sports and they're dominating. There's no hold bars. They are dominating women's sports because they decided men that wanted to be women wanted to compete with women. And there was actually a guy that literally, it started with a Z, Zula, something to that extent, but he literally twittered, hey, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. I'm gonna be a transgender woman now, and I'm gonna do weightlifting. And he freaking set women's world records because, well, he's a man, and most men are stronger than women. There's some women out there, like a person like me, and there's some women out there that have a little bit of punch more than me.
I don't disagree with what you're saying there, but that's not the issue as far as equality of rights.
Yeah, well,
That's
okay. Women right now, they do have the equality of rights. I mean, they didn't really have that much equality of rights in Hollywood because Hollywood is more or less what your eyes are appealed to. And hate to say it, there are a lot of beautiful women that go to Hollywood, so it's basically you're throwing a stone, hitting a pretty woman, telling her she can be in a movie, and she's just in the background looking pretty.
it's
But nowadays, if you go any workplace, how many laws are there to where if you say something lewd, something inappropriate to a woman, you're going to get fired?
I think just about every job I've ever worked at has policies like that.
Yes. And they had policies like that because of what happened in the 70s and 80s.
But I don't disagree with those policies. It's not like
I don't disagree with those even more because there's times that I've had women get sexual harassment on me. And this is when I was in the military. I was over in Base X. Can't really say where I was at. But I was in a base, and there's this one lady that I flew next to on the airplane, and she just kept on saying, "I'm going to be a pretty woman when I get over there. I'm going to be a 10." I was like, "You're still like a 3." But anyways, go with that confidence. But she kept on going after me as a person to where she was sexually harassing me, and I told my command. They didn't do anything, and I told them, "Hey, listen, I'm going to do something if y'all don't. It's going to be public, and y'all are going to have a problem." Well, let's just say we were in the dining tent, and she did her lewd thing again. It's like, "Why don't you want to do anything with me?" I was like, "Listen, you're not my type. I'm sorry. And you're going to have to stop this right now. I've already talked to command. I did the proper channels. You need to stop." Then she just kept going. I was like, "Listen, I'd rather super glue my dick to a bullet train than a fuck you." She got angry. She went to command. Command and me had a talk. And we were in the command post talking to our commander. And I brought in the people I've talked to, and I told the master sergeant of our group at that time, who is our sergeant command, told him about it. He confirmed that I went to him on all these things. He's talked to her several times, and she was reprimanded. Finally. After I embarrassed the holy hell out of her, and my command was yelling at me first, and then I didn't really get an apology, but still.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to is, I'm all for equality of rights, but that's a two-way door.
Yeah.
And being quite frank, me as a guy, I try to keep my language at a certain level. There's a lot of things that, I could definitely say to people that I generally don't. Not because it's not a thought that's running through my head. When I see someone that's not attractive, I don't say to myself, "Oh, that's attractive." I say to myself, "Well, that person's not as attractive. That's not my type of person," and just kind of leave it at that. If that person were to push themselves, I would probably tell them, "You're not attractive to me. Please just keep to yourself and I'll keep to mine." But I've noticed in a lot of situations that in itself, in a workplace environment, if things escalate to that point in a workplace environment, it becomes harassment. And a lot of times the guy gets the bad end of that one, even if he wasn't the one pursuing things, like what happened in your case. You got yelled at, and if you didn't have enough information backing you up when you had finally gotten down to the point where you couldn't deal with it anymore, you would have been the one getting the bad end of that stick.
Yeah. And usually if a ugly woman tries to pick me up or anything like that, I just go full on nowadays, because once you push it to a point of, "Hey, I don't really see myself with you like that. They keep it up. It goes both ways. It's women and female. Women and female. Men. Women and men doing the same thing. They push. And sometimes in your case, you do the nice approach. My case, I usually tell them, listen, it looks like someone started electrical fire on your face and stumped it out with a shovel. That usually works.
But in my case, I try to look at all people along a certain line. In other words, all people are people. There are people I find attractive, and there are people I don't find attractive. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's not anything more or less than that. It doesn't make an unattractive person any less of a person.
Yeah.
And I'm getting tired of all of the bigotry. What feminism has started to become moves away from the definition that it's been given and into an area where it's really becoming bigotry.
And it's really to the point where I've seen videos. There's videos out there that a woman had a bottle full with bleach, and any man that was spreading his legs, man, I forget the term of it's mansplaining, or no, that mansplaining is when a man explains something to a woman and apparently they didn't like the answer. That's what it actually is. It's not, we're trying to dominate you, or even if it's a man or a woman, you're mansplaining no matter what. It's, hey, I have the right answer. I give you the right answer, and now you don't like the answer because it's real and factual, and you're getting, oh, now I'm impressed. No, you're not impressed. You're just stupid.
But you see lots of videos on the internet where you have women saying things like, women can't be prejudiced, women can't be biased, women can't be sexist. That's...
Okay, it's man spreading is a practice of man sitting in public transporting with the legs wide apart, thereby covering more than one seat. Both this posture, man spreading, have occasioned some internet criticism and debate. Basically, this is... I can't do it. Well, I can do it, but every man knows what it is. You're just, you're spreading your legs. Most people think it's a form of dominant. Let me put you this way. I messed that up. But anyways, let me put it this way. There we go. Let me put it this way. I can't speak. Let me put it this way. This is the reason why men do that. We have something called testicles. That's the nice word for it. Testicles that literally, because they're sweaty, suction cup to your leg.
Yeah.
And when you spread out your legs, it lets these testicles fall to a lower extremity to where they just hang out and they're not suction cupped to your legs. Because if we get up too fast, we literally rack ourselves when we stand up, and we pretty much fall down after that, sometimes unconscious. I literally knocked myself out standing up one time. But they want to believe that we're dominating women now.
And this is coming back to what I myself find to be a rather unintellectual statement based on how do you want to say it? Social practices that date back for a while.
Yeah, I mean, back in 1910s, we had it to where, what was it, the thumb thing?
Well, we'll cover that, but I'm not going to put any timelines on it. But you look at things historically. If you go back far enough, you have a time where men were even wearing dresses. And I'm pretty sure that when men were wearing dresses, if they were wearing dresses short enough to come up to their knees and they weren't wearing any undergarments, that it probably would have been considered inconsiderate for them to open their legs so that, anybody coming along could see what they had under there. But if men or women are wearing a pair of pants, you're not hurting anything with your legs open. Nobody's going to see things. Now, you go back a little further where it still is more of a common practice for women to wear dresses. You take a woman wearing a skirt and she's got her legs spread open. Whether it's hot down there or not, which I'm sure everybody experiences, it's hot down there, we need some air. But depending on the clothing you're wearing, that can be a very inconsiderate thing to be doing. Because, well, you're showing your underside to everybody. On the same token, I'm pretty sure if men were in a position where they would be showing everything off by opening their legs like that, it would be just as socially unacceptable. But
What the fuck is that?
what you really have to think about, as it boils down to it, is it's choice of clothing.
That looks like a hell of a frostbite. Sorry, I'll style check.
Yeah, after doing what?
I don't know.
I apologize as my train of thought just immensely.
Yeah, I fucked that up horribly.
But
Go ahead.
the easiest way you can boil that down is that because women have always been told it's improper to sit with your legs open because of, well, you're wearing clothing that would expose yourself and you don't want every man that walks by looking at your crotch.
Yeah, don't do that. We'll look.
They seem to think that because women get told that that's impolite to show your crotch off, that it should be impolite for men to show their crotch off, i.e. they're going, oh, we want equal rights. Well, that's a matter of politeness. It's not a matter of anything more than how you want to be viewed by other people. And, quite frankly, how many men do you think give a damn if anybody's going to walk by and take a look at the crotch?
I mean, I still do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, depending
Of course,
on
I'm a sicko.
I'm pretty sure depending on how pretty she is, you might get excited over a woman looking at your crotch, but that's not the point. The point is, you want equality, so sit with your legs open. And if you're pretty enough, somebody's going to look. Don't get offended by that.
Yeah. But there's also okay. Another thing was back in 1950s they had a Tarzan movie, and Tarzan had his shirt off. I mean, he was in the jungle, and the comics they were doing Injustice or the books all he had was a loincloth. We as men actually had to fight back then to show our nipples on TV or in a movie or pictures, because that was unsatisfactory to the society. But we won our rights. I mean, women win that rights because they can do it now in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Me personally, I mean, where I think the woman's body is a wonderful thing, and it would definitely be nice to have another one to play video games with me and stay in the bed with me.
Yeah, not really the bed. I mean, where I'm coming from this, I snore, and I know she wouldn't be in the same bed as me. Because I snore and sometimes wake myself up because of that.
It's just that matter of, it's nice to have a counterpart around. And
Yeah.
if you're attracted to the opposite sex, it's nice to have someone around you that you feel attracted to.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of person you're into, because the world runs on all types. But just that statement is, it's nice to be with someone that you're attracted to. And quite frankly, the media plays on this a lot. And we've got numerous people who, in the name of feminism, try to attack or berate or barrage the media or even the game industry with the complaint of, oh, this is against women's rights and blah, 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 blah. I don't care.
I hate to tell you this right now, though. It's mostly just ugly women. It really is. I mean, I've seen the women that just like complain about the sexism in video games.
What I'm trying to say is I don't care whether there's pretty women or anything down the line. Anybody complaining about that needs to stop and think about what they're actually trying to say. They put pretty women in video games because people want to look at pretty things in video games. They put ridiculously buffed out men in video games because, well, when you're playing as a character, you either want to look at something really pretty or you want to feel like you're Superman.
Yeah.
And any way you want to put that can fall to both men and women. Women playing the video game and she's following Batman around looking at his ass. And there are women that do it.
No, he covers with a cape so you can't really see it, but...
That's bullshit and you know it. There are some video games where the men are practically nude and you see people playing them as that.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you're going to hear all of these women crying out in these feminism videos that, oh, this is feminist because you got all of these pretty women and, well, we should take all the pretty women out and put only pretty men in. How is that? That's just biased. That's just...
Actually, insensitive. Most video games has the male protagonist in it throughout the whole game. I mean, very few games have a woman protagonist, unless you're playing a game that you get to choose your gender and everything like that, which they actually are trying to do now more. Because of that.
A good majority of games, and
because everybody asks me, it's like whenever we play a video game, you picked a chick. Why do you pick a chick? Are you trying to tell us something that you'd rather be a girl? No, I just want to see the girl's ass when it's
so the same thing. But that's not. It's been 10 years now. There's been games where you choose your own gender, and longer than that.
Yeah.
It's not something new to the market. Now, yes, you play a video game like Batman Returns. No. Well, of course, you're going to play as the main protagonist, Batman. And who are you going to be playing? If you're playing as the main protagonist in a video game like Batman Returns and you're playing as Batman, well, of course, you're playing a male character.
Yeah.
Unless you want to just, tweak out the fantasy world and have them, insert a female Batman. Would you call Batman if it was female?
No, it'd be Batwoman. They actually have the character. You got Batwoman, Batgirl, and you got female Robins. There's a variety. There's a black Robin. There's a black Batman in a certain Elseworld or multiverse. But
it all boils down to society sees X as attractive, and since the general populace sees X.
Well, it's like this, okay? What I want you to understand is when you go to a museum, do you go to the museum and see the most horrific and ugly paintings? Very few people do. They actually have paintings that look horrid and everything. And this is actually in a book called Faith of the Fallen, which basically set it up was the society they had, which is a socialist society. And they had it to the point where all the artwork, statues and everything was depicting some horrid, evil thing. And the reason why this was the fact that it was a religious thing. It was to be part of what they called the source.
Excuse me.
To basically be part of have the creator, which is the God in that book series, shine on you. You need to suffer first before you can go to heaven. And at the end of that book, what the protagonist, What basically the protagonists did, I didn't even mess it up third time. Basically, what the hero of the story did was he made a beautiful depiction of a man and a woman, both beautiful, basically sexy man, sexy woman, fully clothed, sharing a pedestal, and everybody in this town raved on it, wanted to see it, wanted to have their kids see something that was this beautiful. And the town magistrate of the town told him he couldn't have this statue showing to everybody. And the whole marble of the statue had a flaw in it. All he had to do was tap it once, and it destroyed the statue. After that, it basically the whole town rioted. It destroyed their system and everything, and brought up a better system. But in all reality, the people that are really disturbed in everything want to see humanity at its worst, because they can't see humanity as best as it is. In all reality, we're actually living in our best time, where we can't really complain about that much. Yes, we can complain about some stuff. Is it going to change? Maybe. A little bit by a little bit. But is it going to be the point to where ugly is beautiful and beautiful is ugly?
And
that's what they want.
This is another point to be made, though. Everyone has their own view of what's beautiful and ugly. Now, yes, society has norms that they consider people with X traits are pretty people.
Yeah, there's pretty men that are chubby chasers, and they go after really obese women. I'm not going against obese women, but, that's not my thing.
And that's kind of what I was getting at, is there's all types. There's all types of the world that see things differently. But society as a whole generally sees, this is what we are societally accepting as pretty, or this is what we are societally accepting as not pretty. I'm not going to say ugly myself, because, like I said...
Well, I'm looking at the camera right now, and I'm looking at pretty.
I would tend to agree. I don't feel myself as pretty.
And most people that are actually halfway attractive don't even feel attractive half the time.
But that's kind of what I'm getting at, is there are different views from different people.
I finished it then within like 5 seconds. You're going on this long speech, and I'm like,
It's not finished though, because all of the people that are out there making these major complaints, I don't think that they're all ugly people, and I don't think that that's the reason they're making those complaints. I think that they just have yet to take back and actually take a look at what they're saying. I'm not even going to accuse them of some of the things that they could be accused of, because, well, in my opinion, that's kind of cruel, and even though it may be true to make those statements, it's hurtful, and we will try to avoid being hurtful in this instance. So we're just going to say that they have not looked long enough at the entire scenario to understand that what they're saying does not match up with reality.
Well, there's also something that Amir King said today. I was watching him live. I was listening to him live because I was doing some other stuff. But he's literally says, like, sometimes you just got to go out and take care of yourself and give yourself props that you're taking care of yourself. And look at what you have and don't have. And just feel happy. Most of the people just don't feel happy, and they just want the world to burn. And they say they feel happy, but in all reality, there's literally a wire screwed off to where something in their past destroyed them, to the point where they only see stuff like this. There's a...
I don't want the world to burn. I could settle with like a zombie apocalypse, or maybe ice skating polar bears and penguins.
We could go with that. That was out of left field. Ice skating polar bear and penguins.
Well, if we're going to talk about apocalypse scenarios here, which
let's go with skating polar bears and penguins. Hell yeah! I don't even think I'm gonna name this episode. I'm gonna name this episode "Skating Polar Bears and Penguins," just to flip everybody off, and they're gonna have to watch the whole video to get to that part, which is gonna be awesome.
But you know, yeah, there are a lot of people out there with issues, and well, I think we've said it numerous times already in the different videos we've said. If you got issues, tend to those issues, because the world really is all about how you look at it.
Yeah. And it's also depending on where you're at. I mean, here recently, if you want to go with feminism, don't go with feminism here in the United States or UK or countries that actually help women out. Like right here. Go to down here to the lowest bottom feeding fucking level, because women just got the right to drive in Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia has a percentage in Ubers and women can drive.
What were they saying about Zimbabwe?
Oh God, Zimbabwe.
Women's rights in Zimbabwe are just downright horrid.
No.
And something about the highest rape rate or something.
That's the thing. They're treated like cattle. They're literally treated like cattle. There are countries out there that we could try to show them a little bit more light, and to try to get more women in those countries to feel better about themselves and empower those women. Instead, you're literally barking at a wall that's already told you it's fixed.
I mean, to some degree, yes, there are bigoted men and there are bigoted women in the United States.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to fix that? I don't think so.
No, you're not going to fix any of that.
Because bigotry does not just cross the line of man and woman. It covers man, woman, color of your skin. And I guarantee if you're black, white, yellow, brown, green, blue, you're still all people.
Yeah.
And as long as you can talk to me civilly, treat me decent, I'm going to do the same to you. If we all had that attitude, don't you think the world would be a better place, instead of barking, I need better rights because I'm this? No. Maybe we all need to act like human beings. We need to throw away all of these stereotypes, and we need to get rid of all of the bigotry and the bias, which is never going to happen.
Yeah. That's pretty much it on that speech, because in all reality, we do have a problem, but it's not. It's a little bit in this country. It's like a 0.001% of a problem. Most people actually do treat everybody nice. Of course, in Texas, it's that whole thing to where everybody has a gun most of the time. So you don't really. And I'm not talking about just men. I know there's lots of women out there that their rape whistle is a 9mm. But
same token, if you really feel like you're on the bad end of a bigoted situation,
yeah, just tell somebody.
Tell somebody, and also try looking in the mirror a couple of times to make sure you're not causing it.
Yeah, there's a saying from a TV show I like to always quote, especially in times like that. It's sometimes if you go out and you see an asshole, and all day that's the only person that you saw, that's an asshole. But if you go out all day and all you see is a bunch of assholes, you're the asshole.
That's like, when you're out walking down the street and you see a guy and he's got tattoos from just above his fingernails all the way up his arm, covering all of his face and going down the other side, how do you generally view that person? What is your first reaction to seeing that person?
Gay rape.
Dude, you generally...
Usually those types of people, honestly.
They're not bad people.
No.
9 times out of 10. But I guarantee that the average person is going to look at them in a discriminatory manner.
Yeah.
They're going to automatically think that person's a thug or that person's blah, 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 blah. They're going to stereotype that person right off the top.
Well, that's coming off of actually from movies stereotyping the person with tattoos is usually a bad guy.
But even at that,
but now
who's causing the problem? I mean, yes, it is that person's right to have decked themselves out that way or to be dressed like a thug, as common society would put it.
Yeah.
But in all reality, they're part of the problem. If they're having a problem with the way people are viewing them, they've caused part of their own problem by decorating themselves the way they have. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong to do so, and I'm not saying that looking at those people that way is right. The person that's looking at that person and saying, oh, that's a thug because that... No, they're just as wrong. But when you take a step back and you say, what's the general cause of this? You have to realize that, yeah, that person over there that's being bigoted is wrong, but are you helping the issue any by the way you present yourself?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, take a look in the mirror because you're causing your own problems. I'm saying ask yourself the right questions to find out what can be done to remedy the issue if you're having one.
Yeah.
Taking a look in the mirror is going to be the easiest way to say, okay, I'm having this problem. What have I done that could possibly be leading to it? What can I do to correct it? Because in reality, the only person you have control over is yourself. You can tell everybody else out there, I feel this way and expect them to respect your wishes, and in a perfect world, we all would respect each other's wishes. But in reality, the only person you completely control is yourself.
Well, on that note, basically, if you like this video, go ahead and share it or like it and subscribe to this channel. We also have a Facebook and a Instagram, all Angry Me Production. You can go ahead and we don't have anything really spectacular on those up, but if you want to like the page and give some suggestions on the Facebook page or on the comments down below, or even just chat up with us. We might take a while to get a hold of you, but we usually try to get a hold of you as fast as possible. And that is the end of today's episode. My name is David Dickerman.
I'm Michael Moffat.
And this is Angry Me Production.